All right, good afternoon, Crowley ISD. Hope everyone is doing well this Thursday at lunchtime. We want to thank you for taking time to spend a little bit of your afternoon with us as we talk about the state of the district and the great things happening here in our schools and how we are planning for the future. We have a short presentation today, and we want to hear from you. We have a Q&A option down along the bottom of the screen. If you would take a second just to type in there, are you a parent? Are you a community member? Are you an employee? Just so we kind of know who's joining us today. You don't have to put your name unless you want to, but we just kind of want to know who's here with us today. And we will get started with our presentation, and that will begin with a short video about what makes Crowley ID Crowley ISD. So y'all, just a second to get this up and we will get going.
If you think you really know Crowley ISD, think again.
Because this,
and this is Crowley ISD. Crowley Pride. All right.
We are growing. Enrollment is climbing higher than ever before, with as many as 22,000 students expected in Crowley ISD in the next decade. We are 55 square miles. Our district is larger than you may think, stretching beyond Chisholm Trail Parkway and I-20 with 26 campuses. We are diverse. Diversity is our superpower. We're stronger because we embrace students of all backgrounds. We are high performing. Our scores have soared to new heights, and we have our sights set on being the top in Tarrant County. We are full of choices and opportunities. Our students will be prepared to create, innovate, and dominate no matter what path they take in the future. We offer more than just a diploma in Crowley ISD. We are family. In Crowley ISD, all means all, and we welcome all students into our family because every child deserves a high-quality education.
Because this is Crowley ISD.
this.
This is Crowley ISD.
All right, this is Crowley ISD. We're so excited to share more about the great things happening in our district, the growth we're seeing, and how we're planning for the future with our upcoming bond election. So just a brief look at the agenda. We're going to talk about who we are and what we aspire to achieve and how are we doing. And like I said earlier, how we are preparing for the future. If you're just now joining us, we're just asking everyone down at the bottom. We have a Q&A feature. You can put your name, or you don't have to put your name in there, but just let us know if you're a parent, if you're a community member, if you're an employee, just so we know who our audience is to help us with our presentation. And we'll also have an opportunity for you to put questions there in that box as well. All right, who are we in Crowley ISD? So when we put this presentation together and started doing these back in the fall, Crowley ISD had crossed a threshold, a really record-breaking number of students with 16,915 students enrolled. What you're about to see, though, is that number has climbed significantly since then. Those students attend one of 26 schools across our district, and our district is 55 square miles. City of Crowley, parts of Johnson County, Southwest Fort Worth. Our district is a large district, and we are growing. And here's a look at how our students are in Crowley ISD. These are some of our demographics, and one of the numbers that we really want you to pay attention to on this slide in particular is right there along the bottom. Now in Crowley ISD, there are 63 different languages spoken in our community. That means students in their homes are hearing 63 different languages. Just last year, that number was 55. And so we've added 8 new languages in just 1 year. And so that explains a lot about who we are and how we serve all students here in Crowley ISD. The other number we want you to look at there is our economically disadvantaged. We are at 77%, and you're going to see a slide here in a minute that shows how we are performing and on our way to being the top in Tarrant County. This is just a snapshot of some of our students in elementary, middle, and high schools across the district, both in classrooms, on the court. We are a diverse district, and we celebrate that diversity in Crowley ISD. We talked about how we're growing. This is just a quick look at how much the growth has happened in recent years. You see there from like 2013 to 2018, we were right at between 14,000 and 15,000. We started seeing some big growth in 2019, and then that fell a little during the pandemic, as we saw across the state and the nation. But since the pandemic, and since we've come back to school in person, look at that growth each year, adding several hundred students. And like we said, in the fall, we were at 16,915. And we're so excited to tell you that we have since crossed that. I hope you saw this week, we added our 17,000 students in the district. Watch this video of them. Hargrave over the 17,000 here in Crowley ISD. And that was on Friday, and now already today, I just checked, we're at 17,021. So we've added another 19 or 20 students since then. So I want you to look at this graph. These are some of our projections that we work very closely with the demographer on to talk about our growth, so we can be prepared for those students and make sure that every child in our schools has a seat. You'll see the green line on the left, that's where we were. But where we're going, there's three lines. There's a red, blue, or green. Red is high growth, blue is moderate growth, and green, let me move this up so you can see that. Green is low growth. So look at this. It's saying that in 2023, that if we were on a high growth scenario, we could have 17,021 students. We have 17,021 students today, and it's not even the 23-24 school year yet. So we know we are definitely on that high growth projection. And what we see on that is by 2028, we will have more than 20,000 students in Crowley ISD. And even if growth was to slow down a little, to bump us down to moderate or low, you'll still see the significant increase in our student enrollment. So we are planning for that, and we're going to talk about that more today with what's in our bond package. But what drives everything we do here in Crowley ISD is our mission statement, that we will provide excellence in education so that all students achieve their full potential. And in Crowley ISD, all means all. So what do we aspire to accomplish here? Since Dr. McFarland came to Crowley ISD in 2017, he has set a goal along with our board of trustees that Crowley ISD will be the top performing district in Tarrant County. So how are we doing? Check this out. In our most recent STAR scores, 100%, all of our campuses met or exceeded state standards. Every school, no matter what neighborhood you live in, no matter if it's an elementary, middle, or high school, that school will have met or exceeded state standards. The state also does something with campus distinctions, and you've seen banners for these across schools in our district. These are when we're compared to other campuses that are like that campus, and they get distinctions in subject matter or growth, student progress. Back in 2018, we had 14 campus distinctions. This year in 2022, we've more than doubled that to 30 distinctions awarded to 13 schools. That's a great celebration. And as a district, look how much we've grown in our overall STAR rating. Back in 2018, we were a C. We were an average performing school district. Look at that increase in that amount of time, a 15-point increase. And that is also happening during those COVID years. And so we are celebrating that 85, but we are on our way. Our goal is to be the top in Tarrant County. We want to be an A-rated district. So how are we going to do, and how are we going to perform compared to other districts? You know, we have a cohort of districts around Tarrant County that we compare ourselves to that either look like us, they have similar demographics, maybe similar size, they maybe share a border with us. And the top is Mansfield ISD. And you can see back in 2018, there was a 30-point gap between us and Mansfield ISD. But now look at that, a 3-point gap between Crowley ISD and Mansfield ISD to be the top in Tarrant County. You know, earlier we talked about our economically disadvantaged students and that number being 77%. This next graph looks at something called economically advantaged. These are districts around us that are economically advantaged. So you see Granbury, Godley, Burleson, Birdville on there. And look at that, Crowley ISD is still that yellow line, and look at that, we're just 1 point below the highest in that subgroup. And so we are made gains from, what was that, a 28-point gap all the way to 1 point in this short amount of time. So Crowley ISD is doing well, and we are well on our way to being the top in Tarrant County. Another big indicator we look at for all of our students is college, career, and military readiness. In Crowley ISD, we offer more than a high school diploma. And this score is from the state. And you can see Crowley ISD's CCMR, college, career, military readiness score, is a 91. Look at that. The highest in the area is Aledo, and they're a 93. And you can see we're just 2 points below the highest. Graduation season is almost upon us, and we celebrating Crowley ISD our 96% graduation rate. And that last year's graduating class was offered more than $19 million in scholarships. So that's the future. Those are our students who are headed off. But what are we doing right now to prepare for the future for our students who are here right now and who are still to come? As you've probably heard, the reason you're on this Zoom is to learn about our bond. I hope you've received mailers, you've seen the videos, we've emailed out to parents and staff, posting on our social media and website. But this is a video that kind of sets up how the bond was created and what's in it. And then after this, we'll dig in a little deeper and be answering any questions you might have.
Driving through Crowley ISD, it's hard to miss the new rooftops, new businesses, and economic development projects meeting the needs of our growing community. Hundreds of new families are choosing Crowley ISD for its desirable location, commitment to diversity, and academic success. To put it simply, Crowley ISD is growing in both size and opportunities for students. Excitement and energy fill our schools as more students explore their passions with a laser focus on excellence in academics, arts, athletics, and real-world applications. Today, Crowley ISD serves nearly 17,000 students. With over 22,000 planned residential lots, the district is projected to exceed 20,000 students by 2028. After successful completion of all 2007 bond projects, the district secured an updated demographic report, a new facility condition study, and campus capacity reports. As a result, the Board of Trustees commissioned a long-range facility planning committee to study the data and collaborate on the best ways to serve current and future students. This past fall, a committee of passionate parents, grandparents, educators, business leaders, taxpayers, and most importantly, students, met to analyze the most urgent needs of our district. They studied current facilities, reviewed demographics, dove into district finances, and considered ways to best prepare for growth. In the end, the Long-Range Facility Planning Committee recommended a comprehensive bond package to serve a growing student body. The Board of Trustees accepted the recommendation and called a May bond that includes 3 propositions. If approved, the bond package will help manage the growth in student enrollment, maintain and improve safety and security district-wide, and will impact every student at every school within Crowley ISD. In Proposition A, voters will find 3 new elementary schools, 1 new middle school, a replacement campus at Crowley High School, a new Crowley Collegiate Academy P-Tech Global Prep Facility, renovations to the Bill R. Johnson Career and Technical Education Center, a student support hub and family resource center to include all alternative education programs, a new satellite transportation facility, district-wide facility additions and renovations, and technology infrastructure designed to improve the district's network speed, reliability, and security. In a separate Proposition B, voters will find an inclusive outdoor learning center designed for children with special needs, as well as a track and field complex. And finally, Proposition C includes 2 projects: a new performing arts center for district and community use, and an innovative learning center. Overall, The bond election is a long-term comprehensive plan to manage the fast growth of our student population. A commitment to sound financial management, along with growth in the overall tax base, will allow the proposed projects to be completed while maintaining the current tax rate. That means this bond will result in no property tax rate increase. Early voting takes place from Monday, April 24th to Tuesday, May 2nd. Election Day is Saturday, May 6th. Voters will have the opportunity to vote on Propositions A, B, and C, and do not have to choose between the three. Please contact us if you have any questions or need more information, or visit crowleyisdtx.org/bond23 to learn more.
All right, so there's a high-level overview of how the bond was developed as a community-driven plan, what propositions include, and how there's a zero tax rate increase associated with this bond. I'd like to ask you to continue putting your questions there in the Q&A box. Jamie Handy from Crowley ISD is also on, and Jamie, if you see questions pop up as we're talking, feel free to chime in and we'll make sure those are answered, but we want to make sure we address every question that comes in today. We are growing in Crowley ISD, as you saw in that video. This is a heat map of all of Dallas-Fort Worth. You know, there are 90 school districts in the Metroplex. And currently our demographer report shows that Crowley ISD ranks 8th in new home construction. 8th in all of the Metroplex. This is a heat map that shows where that growth is happening. You see that big orange, yellow, red area. That's Crowley ISD. We are growing quick. And not only are we 8th in all DFW, but if you go around the southern portion of the Metroplex, so that's Tarrant County and Dallas County, all along here, we're number 1. Yes, we're ahead of Mansfield in growth. They're number 9, we're number 8. And so this bond was created to help us plan for that growth. This map has a lot of details on it and a lot of small print. But what is important about this one is the colors. Anywhere you see a color, whether that's blue or yellow or orange or teal or purple, those are neighborhoods that are in development. In fact, there are more than 22,193 new single-family lots either in progress or planned, with more expected after that. So look at all that area, especially down here along the western side of our district where Benbrook Lake is. You'll see that's land still to be developed, and that is in our district. Our district boundaries on this map, this blue line that goes all the way around, that's Crowley ISD. So this is I-20 up here. We have a portion there. Hewlett Mall's here. Chisholm Trail Parkway cuts through the middle. I-35 is over here. This is I-20 up here. Even down here in Johnson County, portions of Johnson County are in Crowley ISD. So if you live anywhere within these blue lines, you are a Crowley ISD taxpayer and resident, and you can vote in the bond election. Some people have asked, well, I live in Fort Worth, but I'm not sure if I can vote. If you are zoned for Crowley ISD, you live within these blue lines, you can vote in the bond election.
Mr. Kirshner, I just want to give you a heads up. There's a box in the middle of your screen. I think you just moved it over. If you can close that.
Oh, thank you. Y'all see that better now?
Perfect. Yep, much better.
Thank you, Jamie. All right, so this, as you all know, this is not new information to you, but as you drive through Crowley ISD, these are the neighborhoods you see popping up everywhere you turn. I feel like each time we drive out, we see a new neighborhood under development. So it is happening all around us. And we've been doing a lot to prepare for that growth. You know, we opened up June W. Davis Elementary School in the fall of 2019. We also opened up Richard Alley Middle School as well. Our next new elementary school that is under construction is within the Karis development. If you're not familiar, that's actually within the city of Crowley. Not far from H.F. Stevens and the Dairy Queen. You know, they're on industrial as you go over the railroad track where the new traffic circle is. There's homes, you know, being built all around in there. Our new school will be right there in the middle of the Karis development. And the plan is that that school would open up in the fall of 2023 to be our elementary school number 16. That's going to be really exciting. So a lot of questions we've seen, you saw in that video, you've seen in the mailers about the zero tax rate increase. We want to talk about our tax rate and what our school board has done to lower the tax rate in Crowley ISD and the tax burden on our homeowners. You can see here our tax rate for Crowley ISD has gone down by more than 23 cents since 2017. 23 cents. In addition, our school board each year votes to offer a 10% homestead exemption for homeowners. That is the highest in all of Tarrant County. In fact, there is one other district in Tarrant County that does offer a homestead exemption. Theirs is 1%, but here in Crowley ISD, our board has selected to offer our home owners a homestead exemption. That does not apply to business owners. That does not apply to landlords who own multiple properties. This is for people who live in Crowley ISD and homeowners in Crowley ISD. We also talked about in that video how are we going to pay for this bond? That was one of the questions I saw pop up. How are we going to pay for this? This bond would not be paid for with a tax rate increase. No, the tax rate will stay the same. This bond will be paid for by the growth in our assessed property values. As more homes and businesses are built, that is what will pay for the bond. This bond will be paid for by the growth in Crowley ISD. And you can see how much that has increased in recent years and continues to climb. And just a reminder, values of our homes and businesses, those aren't set by school districts. Those are set by the appraisal districts for either Tarrant County or Johnson County. We've talked about how this bond is a community-driven plan. One of the most amazing processes I've ever been through. Such a diverse group of community members. You see some of them there on your screen. There were parents and grandparents, business leaders, civic and religious leaders, and students. And this group came together for many, many months to review our finances, to look at the demographers' reports on growth, and to look at the needs for current facilities and also what kind of new facilities would be built. And so this was the committee that helped build this bond. They took the recommendation to our school board, and as you saw in the video, our board of trustees voted unanimously to approve their recommendations. So what's in the bond? A high-level summary. We have 8 new schools to accommodate that growth. But we also know safety and security is a top priority, and that's something we must continually enhance. It's not just a one-time thing. And so these are safety and security enhancements that will be happening in every school in Crowley ISD. Every school in Crowley ISD for safety and security enhancements. We also know facility enhancements. This is everything from flooring and lighting to heating and air conditioning systems, new roofs, things that schools need as they age. Every school would have some sort of facility enhancement there in it. Those are all in Proposition A. There are 3 propositions. Proposition B includes our inclusive outdoor learning center along with a track and field complex. This inclusive outdoor learning center we've seen popping up in other communities across the state, and it's a place for children with special needs to come together with their families and have just really not only just playground equipment, but also learning equipment. And they can be utilized by not only our students in our schools, but also our community as well. And that track and field that we know our community has been asking for was not a part of the current multipurpose stadium that's just over here near where I office right now, but the plan for that track and field complex is part of Proposition B. And in Proposition C, we're really excited about. Our committee was very strong in recommending the Performing Arts and Innovative Learning Center. This is not only for high school students, this is for middle school students, this can even be for elementary school students for performances and other activities there. And of course, it has the stage and the practice rooms, but also that Innovative Learning Center was very important for our committee. They wanted to make sure that there's classroom space that could be used every day and not just performance space, in the evenings and weekends. And so that Innovative Learning Center are potential classrooms for P-TECH, Global Prep, and other CTE programs. So all of these things are included in the bond package with no tax rate increase. And that is because in Crowley ISD, there are 55 square miles with significant planned growth in progress. We see it everywhere. We know it's going to continue. And a total bond will be paid for with the growth in the assessed value. So just a high level overview before we get into your questions. This was a community driven plan. We saw some of them there made up of parents, grandparents, students, and community members. It includes safety and security enhancements at each and every school. And this plan is designed to address our growth in student enrollment that's projected to be 20,000 by 2028. And because of the district's financial stewardship, we will be able to maintain the current tax rate if this bond is approved. The plan would impact every student at every school, and that growth in the assessed value is what will cover the cost of this bond. So early voting is almost here. It starts Monday, April 24th, and it runs through Tuesday, May 2nd. You can vote anywhere in Tarrant County. You could vote in City Fort Worth, Northern Tarrant County, anywhere during early voting. If you're registered, you could vote at. But we want to let you know that 2 of our campuses will have early voting. both the Bill R. Johnson CTE Center and North Crowley High School. And then on Election Day, May 6th, we have voting at CTE Center, North Crowley High School, Crowley 9th grade campus, Meadow Creek Elementary, Oakmont, and Parkway. So check your voter registration card on Election Day to see where's the best place for you to vote. But during early voting, you can vote at a lot of different places in Crowley ISD. So that's a high level look. That took about 25, 30 minutes of Crowley ISD, who we are today and what's in the bond. So let's get to some questions and find out what y'all still want to know about. Mr. Handy, what's some of the questions coming in?
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm so thankful that we have so many parents with us this afternoon. It's during their lunchtime, and we're having some great questions roll in. A couple of them are kind of on a timeline question. So I'll ask you both and you can address both of them. First one from Jordan, he says, what is the approximate time frame after the proposal is voted on that all new schools and developments will be completed? And then Ms. Velasquez is more specific. She wants to know about Crowley High School specifically, what the plan is with that and what that could look like.
Great. Thank you, Jordan and Angela, for those great questions. So the time frame, our committee, we talked about that. Is this something we want to do multiple bonds every year or so, or every couple of years, or do we want to look out to the future? And so this is, a 5 to 7 year plan to get us to 2030. And some of the high priority projects, if the bond is approved, is as a new elementary school. We talked about elementary school 16 is already under construction, but we know we have many elementary campuses that are at capacity, grade levels that are closed. Students are having to be overflowed to other campuses because their grade levels at capacity. So the elementary school we know is a priority. Also, like Angela said, Crowley High School, we know that's a priority as well. And high schools take longer to design and build than elementary schools. They're larger. And so the goal would be to get started on planning for those projects immediately after the passage of the bond. High schools can take, up to 2 years to design and build. And so that's the timeline we'd be looking at for that. Elementary schools are a little quicker. And so those are some of the high priority projects. But this bond, going back to the question timeline, is designed to take us through 2030. I did see a question in there about, will there be a new high school? And then, going back to Angela's question about capacity issues at Crowley High School. Another thing we're doing to address the capacity issues at the high schools are what's happening at our CTE Center and our Crowley Collegiate Academy. So those are for high school students to go at during the day. If you're in a Crowley Collegiate Academy, you go there all day long. You don't go to the home campus. And so the new Crowley Collegiate Academy that's there in Proposition A would help ease capacity issues in the future at both high schools, because students leave Crowley and North Crowley to go there. But also the same with CTE. There are more than 1,000 students every period, throughout the day that leave their home campus to go to the CTE Center. And so the expansion and renovations there at CTE would also help us make sure our high schools remain below capacity.
Awesome. Just a reminder for folks that maybe just jumped on, feel free to jump in below. There's a Q&A section. If you have questions about the bond proposal that we're discussing, feel free to toss those our way. Mr. Kirschman, we've got a couple here regarding just safety and security. We talk about safety and security of our campuses, and that's a big part of this bond package. And so what are some examples, or what can we discuss when elaborating on the safety and security measures for our campuses?
Yes, I think great question. Autumn and Liz, I saw those from you. I'm sure others, that's a very important question. So some of the things that the committee looked at that are very important is fencing around our campuses, and especially our elementary school playgrounds. When a lot of our schools were built, it was obviously a different time, and the playgrounds were open to the community for kids to use after hours and on weekends. But we now know the importance of having fencing and secure playgrounds, and so that's in there. Enhancing our security cameras at our campuses. Intruder detection systems. There are now these devices that we're installing that let us know if a door outside is left open. An alarm would go off if a door is accidentally left open. And so those are some of the examples of the kind of things that will be included. But for the committee, one of the big priorities was that fencing around our playgrounds, especially at the elementary level.
Great. Here's a question that we've seen today, but also on Tuesday night. This question is, as builders fail, if the economy doesn't seem to go the way we want it to, what happens then? What happens if there's not this big tax revenue that we're projecting and that we're expecting to be there in the next few years?
Great question. Who asked that one?
That's from Miss Terry, Kimberly Terry.
Miss Terry, great question. I'm glad you brought that up. It's something we definitely want to talk about. There are safeguards in place to prevent Crowley ISD from taking out money for these projects unless we have the capacity to pay them back. And so not all of this would happen on day one. If the bonds passed, not all this construction would happen immediately. It would happen as we need the facilities and as we have the capacity to pay it back. An example of that, our last bond in Crowley ISD was in 2007. And at that time, the district and the community was growing really, really fast, almost as fast as it's growing right now. And then if you're around, you know what happened in 2008, there was the housing crisis, and a lot of that construction came to a halt for a while. And so during that time, Crowley ISD did not take out additional bond debt because we didn't need it. We did not need the space, and we did not have the capacity to pay it back. But as we've seen the growth again in our community, the homes building around us, we were able to build June W. Davis Elementary School and pay with that for bond money. We're able to make the renovations to Richard Alley Middle School to make a fourth middle school. We're able to build the CTE Center to provide real world opportunities, incredible learning spaces for our students, and help provide additional capacity at the high schools by having high schoolers leave Crowley and North Crowley during the day and go to the CTE Center. And that happened, a lot of those projects were the last 3 to 5 years because we now had that capacity again. Our economy was growing and more people were moving to the district. And so if something were to happen where the growth projections don't meet what they're currently forecast to, then our projects would slow down. And there are safeguards in place here, both at the district and at the state level, that prevent Crowley ISD from taking on bond purchases that we cannot pay back. Great question.
Yes, sir. I think the common misconception is that we're just going to take all this money the minute that this thing goes, and then all of a sudden we're paying interest and all those kinds of things. So thank you for explaining that for us.
Absolutely.
Ms. Tatum has a question regarding the special needs playgrounds. Is there a plan to keep those only available to those to special needs families and those students, or is it going to be available to all families?
Yeah, great question, Ms. Tatum. Great to hear from you. I know Ms. Tatum's been very involved in Crowley ISD. I hope you and your family are doing well. So we, the learning center that we talked about there, we want that to be inclusive, and it's designed for families and children with special needs. But we also know we want it to be open to the entire community. And so during the school day, there would be different, usage of that, but also during the evenings and weekends, we would work very well to make sure it's monitored, make sure the facility is taken care of, and that it's safe, and that the people in there are taking care of it. And so it's designed to be inclusive for all. And Crowley ISD, we believe all means all, but this is a different kind of facility. This is designed for those children and families with special needs. And so we would work with our community to communicate that, but also and make sure it's enforced and make sure the facility is taken care of.
Ms. Gentry is very excited, and the question she asks is, what is the grade range of the new elementary schools, specifically the one that would open in the fall or most soon?
Awesome. Thanks, Ms. Gentry, for being here and for your encouragement there. We are the new elementary school there. Elementary school 16 within the Karis development would be pre-K through 5th grade. And that's our current structure in Crowley ISD. Our Crowley Montessori Academy is scheduled to move to the new elementary school. And as that program grows, there may be the potential to add additional grade levels, but that campus would open as a pre-K through 5th grade campus.
So we have some more safety and security questions and concerns. We had an attendee say school shootings have become very common, and he heard you mention intruder detection and fencing, but what else is being done? What can we elaborate here on the Zoom about our safety and security measures on trainings for teachers and things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a top priority in every campus in Crowley ISD, and we already do so much. We believe our schools are some of the safest places kids and teachers can be. But we also know, like we said earlier, we must continue to enhance. A one-time thing is not enough. And so that begins with trainings and understanding what to do in the event of an emergency, whether that's a tornado or a fire or someone who's in the school that's not supposed to be there. And so we have training, we have common language that we've instituted this year across our district, so that if a hold is issued, we've had a hold recently at one of our middle schools because one student had a medical emergency, and we needed to keep all the students in the classroom so that the paramedics could respond. And so that was a hold. And so we communicated a hold, and everyone knew what that meant because it's the same thing. And so that language, but also there's equipment and there's other procedures, you cannot get into our front offices or even the hallways or cafeterias of school without going through a locked door. You have to be buzzed in. door audits that have, checking our doors daily, multiple times a day to make sure all of the doors are locked, both inside and our classroom doors. There are a lot of things being done, and we will continue to do more. And this bond will help us do that. And also at the same time, we don't say everything we're doing. We don't want all of our safety security measures and processes and trainings to be out there in the public for everyone. But we continue to do that. We're also working closely not only with our Crowley ISD Police Department, but also our police departments in Fort Worth and the city of Crowley and Tarrant County Sheriff's Department.
Here's a great practical question just in terms of going to vote is why are there 3 different proposals? Why are there 3 propositions and why are they broken up this way? But and do we vote for one? Do we vote for all of them? How's that look for voters?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So there is a state law about what can be combined together in propositions. And so the way the law is and the different projects we have, those had to be split up into propositions A, B, and C. Proposition A is the big one with the new schools, the safety and security enhancements and facility enhancements across the district. Proposition B was the inclusive outdoor learning center and track and field complex. And Proposition C was that performing arts and innovative learning center. And so they will be listed as 3 separate propositions, Prop A, Prop B, and Prop C on your ballot. You get to choose for or against on all of them, and you don't have to choose one or the other.
So another question is regarding lunchrooms. Ms. Terry's back and she's asking specifically about North Crowley's lunchroom, but we know that there's several lunchrooms that need to be addressed across the district. What's going to happen, or can this bond help fix these issues with the smaller cafeteria spaces and really kitchens as well?
Absolutely, yes. So there's opportunity for enhancements and expansions at schools like North Crowley. And also, if you've been to Crowley High School and you've seen their lunchroom, you know that one is very, very small. And so that's why that Crowley High School replacement campus is a high priority. Our facility committee actually visited campuses, and when that group saw Crowley High School and the cafeteria there, that they knew that needed to be a top priority. But the bond, these facility enhancements that are included in Prop A allow us opportunity to renovate existing schools also that may need that additional space.
Another question we have is regarding metal detectors. Are metal detectors part of this package, and what does it look like for folks that are piggybacking through doors and things like that? Obviously, we know we have busy times at dismissal and when people arrive at school. Has there been any mention of bringing metal detectors back to school?
That is definitely something we continue to look at and work with our campus administrators, our officers, our students on, and that is definitely something that is always being considered and looked at. And I think there's a question in there about just those doors, and yes, the door audits and door inspections have become not only a daily event, but happening multiple times during the day just to make sure our doors remain locked. And that at the high school campuses where you have students coming and going, whether from CTE Center or going out to a field house, we know that takes extra enforcement. So that's why these detection systems we talked about for the doors to let us know if they're left open is crucial.
This is another common question from Ms. Boyd Russell, and I've seen this multiple times. Is when we say replacement campus at Crowley High School, what does that actually mean? What are we talking about when we say replacement campus?
Yeah, great question. So the Crowley High School, that campus is more than 55 years old. And we've done a lot of enhancements and improvements to it, but it's the cost of making additional replacements to that is not going to be cost effective. And so the replacement campus would be there on the same site. And here's how it's going to work. So, Crowley High School is on Main Street. Behind the building, you have parking. You have lots of field space. You have the Crowley Learning Center, and then you have Crowley Ninth Grade. But there is a large space out there in the back where the replacement building would be constructed. Also, what's back there on the very back, if you're familiar, is the Salazar Fine Arts Wing, for band and choir and other fine arts classes. That's very new, and so that does not need to be replaced. So that would be associated with the new campus, and that campus would be built while students continue to attend the current building. And like we said, that could take up to 2 years. And then once the new facility is built and things are moved around and parking and things like that, we would then take down the current building, the parts that we don't need to use anymore, and keep the parts that we want to use, like that fine arts wing. And so our architects have done this in other places. This is very common when you need to update a large campus like a high school, and they're looking at plans the best way to do that. And so what would happen though is with this plan, the new building would be kind of pushed back and the parking would come in the front of the building, kind of similar to how it is at North Crowley.
Here's a question regarding the Fine Arts Performing Arts Center. Does this mean that there will be continued support for fine arts and student participation? And how will fine arts be supported going forward?
Oh, great question. We know the arts are a crucial part of an education for students. And I mean, we're so proud of our bands, our choirs, drama, speech. There's so many opportunities we offer here in Crowley ISD. And we want to have great spaces for those, but we also want to have great programming and great teachers. And just this year in Crowley ISD, we've added an elementary mariachi band. They're going to be performing at an upcoming board meeting. They performed at our Black History Quiz Bowl back in February. Our bands, they've been growing, our choirs are growing, and we want to continue to look for opportunities to offer arts for our students. The other thing we haven't talked much about is just the location for this center. As you all know, we have a building down in the city of Crowley on Peach Street where the administration used to be. And prior to that, it was the old Best Race, right? And so we've moved the administration because of our growth over by the stadium off of Crowley Cleveland Road. But we do still have that space there at Peach Street, and that's where we would like to build the Performing Arts Center. And what's really neat about that is you also know downtown Crowley, the city of Crowley, they're renovating downtown, and they would like to have an arts district. They're building an amphitheater where they have concerts and performances. And just down the road, if Proposition C is approved, is Peach Street, where our Performing Arts Center would be. And this could be utilized not only by both high schools, but my middle schools and districts and elementary schools and the entire community, And so it's an exciting project. If you've been to Arlington ISD, they have one that's new that's near the AT&T Stadium in the ballpark. It's very similar to what we're looking at here in the district.
Fantastic. Ms. Velasquez has another question. Any plans for Crowley 9th grade center? North Crowley 9th appears to be much bigger than Crowley 9th. Again, just that concern of overcrowding, and as families are moving into our area, those 9th grade centers can't be forgotten as well.
Great question. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, 9th grades are part of this package, both of them. Crowley 9th grade recently added a whole new academic wing. It's really amazing and really cool student union area in there, a new classroom space. And we know that we're going to continue to need to renovate those buildings, especially Crowley 9th grade. That used to be, if you've been around a long time, that actually used to be H.F. Stevens Middle School. And when that campus got built over off of Crowley Road, that became the 9th grade campus. And so there will be an opportunity to make enhancements and expansions there as well. Y'all, these are great questions. All right, Ms. Morris, how will this be funded? All right, great question. That's important. So this bond, if approved by voters, would be paid for by the growth that's happening in our district. So we have new homes being built, new businesses moving in. The growth in those values is what we pay for this bond. There is no tax rate increase associated with this bond package. It is paid for because we're growing. And that's how the state set up the system. It makes a lot of sense. As more people move in and more people are paying taxes, that creates more opportunity for the district to build the buildings that we need to accommodate those families who have moved in, right? And so also to, make the enhancements to our existing systems. Because we have so much growth happening and more to come, that's how this bond will be paid for. Ms. Williams, yes, both. She says she has some questions about, is this Crowley 9th grade or North Crowley 9th grade? Both campuses have renovation projects that are on the priority list that were recommended by the facility planning committee. Great question.
That's right. Every student and every school are included in this bond package.
Absolutely. Y'all have asked really great questions. I want to let y'all know we have these resources on our website. I'm going to share my screen and kind of show where these are because there's a lot of videos we haven't shown today. In fact, I may show one of our short videos that just came out last week because this tax rate and how are you paying for this bond has been a very, very popular question. And we've been pushing this out, emailing this to parents, putting it on social media, and we want to explain how we can do this bond with a zero tax rate increase. And so if you'll just give me 2 seconds, I'm going to pull up our website and play this video. And feel free to continue dropping questions there in the chat. And we would ask the information you learn. If you learned something here today, would you share that in the chat? What's either something you learned you didn't know about, or what are you most excited about with what's happening in Crowley ISD while I get this video ready? Okay, there we go. All right, so this is our Crowley ISD website. On our bond section, we have, information, important dates, FAQs, those are being updated weekly. Resources, here we have everything from printed materials that you've seen in your mailbox and maybe at different schools, but also videos. We have multiple videos. This is that one we just shared. So if you'd like to share that with your family and friends, it's here on our website and on our social media and YouTube. This is that tax rate increase video. Now, I want to show you all this. This is not a long video, but I think this captures everything we've been talking about in a short and succinct and hopefully easy to understand way.
Hello, Crowley ISD family. We'd like to share a few quick facts with you about the 2023 bond election and your taxes. First, as you've probably seen in mailers and bond information, the Crowley ISD bond election will have zero impact on the Crowley ISD tax rate. Why? Because our community is growing, and the commercial and residential property values in Crowley ISD will cover the cost of the bond projects with no need for a tax rate increase. Second, we want to make sure you're aware of language that's required by law to appear on your ballot that may be confusing. Included on each proposition of the Crowley ISD bond will be the phrase, "This is a property tax increase." A Texas law passed in 2019 requires school districts to include that language on bond propositions. But that doesn't change the fact that in Crowley ISD, this bond will not impact the tax rate. The tax rate will stay the same regardless of the outcome of the election. And remember, the tax rate is the part of your local tax bill that Crowley ISD controls. It does not control property values. In fact, the tax rate in Crowley ISD has decreased by 23 cents since 2018. And third, don't forget, Crowley ISD offers an additional 10% homestead exemption for homeowners, which is the highest in all of Tarrant County. So mark your calendars. Early voting runs from April 24th through May 2nd, and Election Day is May 6th.
All right, hopefully that video made sense. We try to take a complicated, confusing topic and make it as easy to understand as possible. If you think so, if you learned something from that, we'd ask you to share that with your family, friends, and neighbors, and also any of the other resources there on our website. We'll have more videos and more information coming out in the days ahead. But early voting starts, like I said, on Monday, and Election Day is Saturday, May 6th. I'm going to pull up our Q&A box, and it looks like we had a couple other questions come in. Miss Terry's asking, what will help and address issues today? This is all for the future of my student. Absolutely, Miss Terry, great question. There are projects in the bond that are for the future, right? Future schools. There are projects in there that will start immediately if voters choose to approve this bond. And so the election's on May 6th. If it's approved, that May 8th, that Monday, we're going to get to work these projects, and safety and security at every school for every student is one of those high priorities. New buildings for the students who aren't here yet or who may be overflowed because their campus is at capacity, that's also a priority both at the elementary and high school level. And then also for the students who aren't here yet, we know they're going to continue moving in, so we want to make sure that there is a seat for every student. So a seat for every student is a priority. So we did this same Zoom, was it 2 nights ago, Mr. Handy?
Yes, sir.
They had really good questions, but I think y'all's questions win. So in the chat, I would like for you to ask, this is kind of like your exit ticket out. We'll leave it open if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in. But your exit ticket out is like either something you learned or something you're excited about. And we just like to ask you to help spread the word, let your friends and neighbors know. And early voting starts next Monday. And
Yeah, I'll also add, if you have any concerns, if there's still things that you have questions about, or even after this presentation you're concerned about, you can feel free to drop those in there as well, because we want to know how you're feeling. So feel free to drop that in as well.
I do see, I'm looking through our list of attendees. We've at some point today had over 50 attendees. That's great. We had about 50 or 60 the other night as well. We're going to have in-person sessions coming up. If you know people, or if you'd like to come in person and meet us and talk with us in person, tonight we will be at First Baptist Crowley and Great Commission Baptist Church. 6:30, and each of those will be doing English presentations, and at 7:30 presentations in Spanish. And then next week we'll be at Abundant Life Fellowship. And sorry, I'm getting my mind just blanked.
I was gonna say, and Fountains Fellowship, but you
Thank
can
you,
pull that up
Fountains.
on the website if you'd like. You can pull that up on the website under important dates, under that Bond 2023 site, and find all the information there.
Yep, absolutely. And so that's happening, but also as I was going through a list of attendees, I see Dr. Latanya Woodson Mayfield. She's our school board president. She's on with us today. Also, I see Miss Lyons on there, Miss Lyons and Dr. Mayfield. Thank you for what you do to volunteer school board trustees and your vision, not only for the students of today, but for the students of tomorrow here in Crowley ISD. So thank you for being on. We greatly appreciate you. And if you have any words you'd like to share with the group, I can allow you to talk, or you can come off mute, but I know it is a busy lunch hour and you both are working today. So I just want to thank you for being here. Ms. Lyons, is that you?
That is me.
How are you today?
Thank you. I am great. Thank you for the great presentation. I am so excited about the growth in Crowley ISD and the great things that are going to happen with this bond. So I'm looking forward to getting out and voting. So I just hope that that the questions were answered to everybody's questions were answered, and I'm just so excited.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, and apologies for putting you on the spot. But we know you've been going to schools and presentations to help spread the word and educate people about our bonds. So thank you for what you do as a school board trustee. And Dr. Mayfield's also been joining us, and trustees will be at the presentations tonight and next week. And like Jamie said, other questions or concerns that come up, please pass them our way. We are here to provide any and all information that we can. Oh, Ms. Harrison asked, are these sessions recorded and available to watch at another time? Yes, both of our sessions have been recorded and we will get those posted today. Oh, Autumn, thank you for that. She's excited about the CTE courses and that Special Education Outdoor Learning Center. Thank you for sharing that. Well, you all, like I said, we'll continue to stay on here. We'll keep the Zoom and the question box open in case you think of something else. But at this time, we're going to wrap up our meeting and let you get back to work or home, whatever it is you're doing. And thank you again for taking time during your day. You know, this is our first lunchtime Zoom in a really long time. And I think we had great attendance and participation. So thank you for taking time to join us today. Y'all have a great day and we hope to see you at the polls.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Miss Terry asking another question. If you're still with us, great question. I hope you still, let me make sure you're still on there. Yep, I still see you still there, Miss Terry. So she asked, you know, every class and projects, where's the syllabus and project timeline detailing the timeline and completion dates? So that's a great question. So if voters approve the bonds, then that's when a bond oversight committee and group will be working to plan out what those look like, working with architects and general contractors and providing monthly reports and updates on the status and the timelines of each of these projects. Great question. Ms. Terry, please, we look forward to meeting you too. If you see us at one of these meetings or at campus, please come up and introduce yourself.